That'll be $50. And what questions about the future do you seek? Actually, I'm here because I think I have the gift. You can tell the future? Sort of. I can look at certain cards and get an idea of what kind of mechanics the game is going to support next. Do any of them make me viable? That'll be $50. No. I want my money back. A real psychic would have known that. Get out of my tent!
Stupid dog! You made me look bad!
Hey, friends. Welcome back to the Doghouse. I'm... I will bite off your... Oh, we're back. Sorry about that. Anyways, today, we're going to be taking a look at upcoming mechanics I believe will be expounded upon soon, giving you a vision of the future. That's my line. Shut up, Merlin! Anyways, to give you an example of what I'm talking about, before Flingerdingers became the worldwide phenomenon it is, it began with just a few cards in the mechanics, like Maleficent, Odie, and Bestow a Gift. These were the first three cards that did anything in the archetype, and while they weren't good enough to make the mechanic good enough on its own, they slowly expanded the repertoire of cards that performed these functions. Next set, we got Bells and Rose. After that was Elephant and Knock, and then came Juju, and all of these other wonderful cards that helped us get to where we are today. With that in mind, I want to take a look at some mechanics that could be expounded upon in the future to make an interesting new deck profile. First, let's take a look at one card this last set that really exemplifies my point. Experiment Stitch. There's actually two functions of this card that I think could be explored, so let's break them down one at a time. The first is arguably the effect that turns most people off. Whenever you play him, you ramp your opponent one. Most people argue that ramping your opponent isn't good, though some people have said it can be used in a mill-type deck. But rather than examining the card in a vacuum, I want to analyze effects that could be expounded upon to make this card better. The first big mechanic I think they're setting up for is inkwell manipulation. In the game currently, there's not a lot of cards that interact with inkwells. The first one was Mufasa, who exerts everything and returns 2. Shortly after that, we got Ink Geyser, which gets everyone back down to 3. And the only other real card that interacts with inkwells is Pongo, who lets you look through yours and play a puppy for free. What does this mean for Stitch, though? Well, if we got a mechanic in some future sets that gained lore or drew cards for every time your opponent inked a card, it would make ramping your opponent a viable trade-off strategy. You gain lore for ramping them, but you run the risk of them wiping you out with actions, songs, and spells. The second mechanic we should look at is this one. The part where you can play the card from discard. Only one other card in the game has that ability, being a Lilo. So Lilo and Stitch both have this ability.
Coincidence? I think not!
This means that we're likely going to see more and more cards in yellow or blue, likely as a shared mechanic, that can return themselves from discard. Whether they do things on play remains to be seen, but keep an eye out for this sort of mechanic in the future. Additionally, let's take another quick look at Pongo. He's the only card in the game that lets you look at your inkwell after you've inked stuff. Since it's in the blue-yellow color scheme, maybe expect to see more self-inkwell manipulation in the future. Alright, the next card I want to look at today is Flynn Rider. I hardly know her. Flynn Rider fits into a category of cards I like to call dilemma cards. Dilemma cards, also known as plight cards, quandary cards, predicament cards, impasse cards, or Hobson's Choice? Stupid book. Off! Anyways, these types of cards usually give opponents a tough choice to make. In Flynn's case, they can choose to discard a card or give up 2 lore when challenging, to go down in card advantage, or lore totals. Seems like a pretty tough choice. Not a lot of other cards do something similar, with the biggest ones being older cards like Ursula's Trickery and Sign the Scroll. I think if they added a few more cards like this, it could go well with other cards that do a similar sort of function, like other when challenged cards. This sort of ties into another card I want to take a look at. Maui. Maui is an interesting card that can do 3 different things when banished. He can place 2 damage counters on all opposing characters, destroy all items, or all locations. That's a flexible card. We also don't see a lot of other cards that offer this many choices. We have a few, like Simba and Steel, that give 2 choices, similar to Tug of War and the Lever cards, but having 3 choices is almost unheard of, and if Ravensburger decided to expound upon this in the future, it could make toolbox decks even more powerful. This also ties into another card I want to discuss, Anna. Anna? Anna? Anna was a very interesting card when she came out due to her flexibility and introduced what we call kicker cards, wherein you can pay additional costs to get an additional effect. Similar cards include Gothel and Go-Go Tamago. Yet, we haven't seen a true proliferation of kicker cards or choice cards, though I still think Ravensburger can expound upon those in the future. There's not very many in the game right now, but in the next few sets? Next, let's look at Minnie Mouse. Oh, you'd better not be looking at my wife. I'll come over there and... Dodo! Dodo, let's look at Dodo. That's what I thought. Dodo, and other cards with similar effects, gain a power boost when they're damaged. We've seen Red start to take a shift this way before, but giving +1 power for each 1 damage can make some cards super powerful. Dodo can be a 5/1, and Lady Mouse can be a 7/1. Not to mention, these cards can also gain a huge amount of lore from cards like Most Everyone's Mad here, who can gain lore based on the amount of damage you have on something. Mixing this in with Amber cards that give additional health could create a huge burst opportunity, up to 9 lore. Lastly, let's take a look at these 2 cards, Baymax and Thunderbolt. While Ravensburger did experiment with alternative shift costs, these were the first 2 cards that experimented with alternative shift targets. Normally, you can shift on similarly named cards, but Thunderbolt can shift on any puppy, and Baymax can shift on anything. Legally, this means you can play all 6 colors at once. But that's all I got for you today, folks.
Well, now listen here. I'm the clairvoyant, only I can tell the future. I want my money back.
I already spent it.
No, you didn't.
How do you know?
I'm clairvoyant. I see the future.
Oh, yeah. No refunds.
Dagnabbit!